Hello and welcome to my knitting diary. So my name is Jess and this is my diary for my crafts, my knitting and my quilting. So a little about me. I've always been around crafty things. Like that's something I grew up with. I remember my mom crocheting and my older sisters crocheting. And I remember them sewing, making prom dresses. Crafting is not new to me. And my grandpa, he was a knitter. My grandma was a crocheter. Always been around it. So it was always just a part of my life. And I started really getting into sewing when I was, we'll say high school. I did a little in middle school, but in high school, I started working at the local Joann store, and I worked there through all of high school and college until I got married. And so I was around all the fabric. It was the best job ever. And I was around all the yarn, and I didn't knit, but I did sew. I took all the sewing classes that they offered in my high school. And my biggest love was quilting. Like I liked making the clothes. I like clothes. So making clothes was very fun, but I was very, very blessed to be able to have a long arm quilting machine in my high school, which I know is not a normal thing. I didn't realize how lucky I was at the time, but I got to take a quilting class where we went through everything. We learned to piece the quilt, we learned to use the long arm quilter, and then bind it. We did it all, and I loved that. And I took, in college, I was majoring in photography, and my minor was clothing construction. So it was, for my university, it was all the sewing classes. I did home decor, quilting, children's clothing, pattern making, all the sewing classes they had. And it wasn't until I got to college till I realized how incredibly lucky I was to actually have a long arm quilter in high school. So at that point, I started learning to use my regular home machine to do free motion quilting on my quilts. So I started using that, and when I got married, and then, okay, not when I got married, when I had my first child, 12 and a half, almost 13 years ago, I decided to start knitting. And I actually picked it up because I wanted little wool diaper covers for my girl. And they were way out of our price range, having been, oh, there's my youngest. Oh, please. All right, while I was checking on my little one, I decided to try and fix my lighting. Hopefully that's a little better. And sorry if the camera angle changed a bit. But as I was saying, diaper covers. The little wool diaper covers were way out of our price range because we had just gotten out of college. In fact, I graduated a month before my oldest was born. So I decided to learn how to knit them. So I got some fisherman's wool from Lion Brand Fisherman's Wool from Joann, and grabbed the needle size I needed, and that was how I learned to knit. I didn't make a scarf. I didn't make really any swatches. I did, so it said knit, and I searched on Google and YouTubed how to do a knit stitch. I did a knit stitch. and then it said purl. So I YouTubed how to purl, and each time I came to a new thing as I was knitting this, it started with ribbing, and I went down the ribbing, and then there was like this little, like to weave an I-cord around the waistband. So it had the little eyelet holes. So then I'd YouTube how to do an eyelet hole, and that is how I learned to knit, and that was about 13 years ago. And since then, it's really just been this last year where I've gotten really into knitting more. So this last year, I mean, I've been having babies, and my sisters, when we'd all get together, I have a couple sisters, and they'd be crocheting, and I'd always have a baby in my hands, or feeding them, or changing diapers. And about a year ago, we were at a family something. We were all together, and we were chatting, and they were doing their crochet, and my youngest just got up and, was playing with all the other kids, and I realized my hands were empty. For the first time in like 12 years, I had empty hands. And so the next time we all got together, I had my knitting, and I knit my first sweater like a year ago, and just have fallen headfirst into knitting. So I am a big fan of keeping track of things. Like, I got a journal when I was 12, and from 12 till my senior year of high school, I have a daily entry in that journal. And some are, have I gone back to read them? No, because they're probably very embarrassing. But there's a daily entry in my journal for like 6 years. So I wanted to be able to keep track of my crafting. And so this is my visual diary. And I've been thinking about this for a while. And I was like, okay, I need to like do my hair and do my nails and like get all ready, and then I can do it. And I was on the treadmill this morning and realized that if I keep waiting to like do my hair and do my nails and get all ready, it's never gonna happen. So, like I said, you just saw me try and adjust the lighting. Hopefully it looks good. I don't know, because this is on my phone, and my back camera looks way better than my front camera. So I cannot see what you're seeing. Fingers crossed this goes well. And if not, I'll adjust. So, yeah, I was on the treadmill and realized if I don't just do it now with my runner hair and my undone nails, it's not gonna happen. So I grabbed Pretty Things, and I promise those candles are not gonna catch the flowers on fire. There is a good space between them. And I grabbed my crafting, and we're gonna get going. So I'm gonna start by one of my more recent finished objects. My most recent finished object I don't have because it was gifted to my sister for her little baby girl. So maybe if I can figure out how, I'll put a picture. And if not, maybe I'll put a picture at the end, because again, we're just going with it. I don't know how to do this, so we're just going with it. But this is one of my most recent finished objects, are these socks, and hopefully it's focusing on them. These are just a basic 2x2 rib sock. And I love 2x2 rib because although it may take slightly longer doing a whole rib sock, they are so comfy because they just hug your foot. So the yarn on these is from Knit Picks. It's Knit Picks Hawthorne, and I think it's called Golden Heel is the color. But they were so much fun to knit up, and I just love this gorgeous fall color. So that is the most recent finished object. Not the most recent, but the one I'm gonna show you today. Now, I am very much more of a semi-monogamous knitter. I don't like having lots of projects going at once. It just overwhelms me. But my main project right now is the Vildnes Sweater by Lerka at Fiber Tells. Hopefully I said that all right. And again, I don't know how to put pictures in. If I can, I will. If not, this is my printed out, very wrinkled pattern. This was a dream knit that I've been, sorry if you can hear my doggies, a dream knit that I've been wanting to do since it came out. And I got, it calls for a light fingering yarn. And so I got this Holst garn. Hopefully it's focusing on that. This is Coast. So it's the 55 lamb's wool, 45 cotton. I run very hot, and when I get hot, I get overwhelmed and like feel claustrophobic. So I really like wool cotton blends. And it says, I had heard this was like a thinner yarn. So I was like, okay, it calls for a light fingering. This will be perfect. And so I ordered my sweater's quantity and it shipped. I ordered it right from Holst in Denmark. So it got here and I swatched with it, and first off, I love it. It's so soft. But I swatched with it, and even after blocking, I was getting like lace weight gauge. Let me show you. Oh, okay, this will have to do. So this is, I don't know if you'll be able to see this. This is it next to like sock yarn. That does not look fingering to me. And maybe people can make it work fingering wise. But for me, it definitely knit up. Whoop, now I'm dropping stuff. Knit up lace weight. So I still wanted to use it. I'm all tangled. It's fine. I still wanted to use it, so I just did knitting math. I did my swatch, I did my knitting math, and I cast on with it. And I thought about using like mohair or like Surrey alpaca, but I didn't want to lose like those little pretty details at the top in the fuzziness. So I did knitting math and I ended up, let me show you it, sorry. This is my sweater so far. I ended up having to size up 2 sizes from what I normally would have done. So I just bound off the bottom. And I absolutely love it. I have not blocked it. I have not blocked this yet, and this yarn does bloom a lot when you block it. So this is not blocked. Right now it still feels very thin. Like you can see down at that hem, it's very thin. There was no way I was gonna go up a needle size. These are on size 4 needles. And I love the details. Like, it's so pretty. So pretty. And I'm so excited for it. But size 4 needles with this basically lace weight yarn. This body took me forever. Forever. So I'm very happy to be done with the body, and I need to cast on the sleeves. Like, I need to pick up and get the sleeves going, because the longer I wait, I know it's gonna be, I'm just gonna keep putting it off. But I do love this sweater, and the fabric is so soft. It's so squishy. I mean, I love it, and I'm so excited to have it once it's done. So like I said, I'm mostly a monogamous knitter. I don't have much going, but I usually have a bigger project and then like a pair of socks. There we go. So my current socks are out of this beautiful Madeline Tosh. I think it's Madeline Tosh Light Twist Venti Mocha Dragon, perhaps? Mocha Venti Dragon. Venti Dragon Mocha. Here we go. And I have one sock done, so this is my second one. I am doing the Hermione Everyday Sock. And I love the way the colors are working up with this texture. It is so pretty. And it, again, another like, I don't know, it makes me think of camping and fall and the forest. And it's so pretty. I love it. Yeah, not much to say about that one. I'm just doing a 2x2 rib top, and it's about 15 stitches and then going on, and it's 64. I cast on 64 for this. And I keep track with the little light bulb markers that crazy sock lady, the way she does it. You'll have to look at her video. She just puts one every 10 stitches, so you make sure your socks are the same size. So that is my second project, and I actually do have a third project right now. I have not touched it in a couple weeks though, because I was working on the body of my Vildnes Sweater. But this is my third. Let me find a picture for you. Again, of my very wrinkled pattern. If I can figure out how, I'll put a picture up. But this is Martin Storey's Oakford cardigan. And I just fell in love with it. It is knit bottom up in pieces and then seamed together. And I have been looking at this since spring. And I was terrified to do it because I've never done a seamed project or a bottom up project. So I was very nervous about that. But let me show you my yarn first. It's Upcycle Alpaca Blend. So it's 33% alpaca, 34% wool, and 33% acrylic. It's by Knit Picks. And it's the titanium color. And I cast on a whim. And so all I had at the time, I did order some Tiagos in the right size, but all I had at the time were my tiny little double point needles, which are not big enough for a sleeve, but I have this sleeve that far, and I love the texture. Love the texture. And I have the other sleeve, because I'm kind of trying to do them 2 at a time-ish, so that they're kind of the same. And the other sleeve is about, let's see, if this is my arm. Hopefully you can see that. It's gonna be cute. I'm excited for it. But that's as far as I've gotten on that cardigan. And to be honest, it's just sitting right now because I really need to get the sleeves on my Vildnes sweater before I just don't. So, yeah, that is my knitting right now. And I don't have any acquisitions because I am very much a plan it out person. I need to know my project and what yarn I'm gonna buy for each project. So I don't have a large yarn stash. I just, I figure out and I buy the yarn and the pattern at the same time when I'm ready to start it. So I don't have any acquisitions, and those will be probably very few and far between. But that is my knitting. And next I'm gonna go on to my quilting. And I do have to say, this is actually not a quilt I made. It is a gift from our wedding. So I'm not gonna take credit for this one. But if you were just here for knitting, thanks for stopping by. And if you want to see my quilting, we'll get started on that now. So on to my quilting diary. I'm gonna start with my most recent finished object, and I actually just finished this one a couple weeks ago. This is, again, you're not gonna be able to see the entire thing, but this is a quilt I made for my girl, and I'll let you see as much as I can. And hopefully, if I can figure it out, I'll show you a picture. If not, I'm sorry. This, I actually pieced this quilt 7 years ago. And then I put it in storage. We moved a couple times and I just never pulled it out. And I was working on the actual quilting, so I'll show you close up the actual free motion quilting. Hopefully it's focusing. I was working on the actual free motion quilting on my small home machine, and I just never was interested in doing it. So after 7 years, I finally finished the quilting and I did the binding on it, and it is so pretty. But I am very lucky because my amazing mother-in-law actually has gotten a long arm quilting machine, and so whenever we visit I get to use it, which has been fantastic. This last month, August, a month and a half, we went out there and I was able to quilt up 2 quilts, and I'll show you them. I'm working on the binding right now, so I will show you them next time because I did not grab them this time. And because of that, I've got the quilting bug again. So being able to actually do quilts has made me really excited about being able to piece quilts. So that is my finished quilt, and next time I'll show you the other 2 that I did. And right now the one I'm piecing, it's up on my wall. I have a makeshift quilt wall. But I grabbed a couple blocks from it. So this is the quilt I'm working on right now. It's a little fall quilt. And I love it. I bought the fabric and started this quilt 10 years ago. 10 years ago, wow. And I ended up putting it in a box because I was working on baby quilts, and I'd finish one and then I'd have another baby and make another one. So I was working on my baby's quilts. And so now that all my baby quilts are, well, getting finished. I have binding on a couple, but because of that, I pulled this out and I was not sure how much had actually gotten done. Because it had been 10 years. I had no idea how much I'd done. But thankfully, all my little bear paw blocks I had finished. So really, I just had to like do the fun part of figuring out where I wanted all the blocks and piecing these blocks, the bigger blocks, together. So we have these, which are my bear paw ones, and then it goes every other with these ones that are just like the cross piece. So, and I love that it's got like that golden sparkle in it. So that is my fall quilt I'm working on right now. And I have 2 blocks left to do, and then sew all the blocks together. And then next time we visit my mother-in-law, I'll be able to quilt it up. And then, let's see, next, I actually do have plans for my next one. So this, I was digging through my fabrics and I pulled out this one. Which is a vintage strawberry shortcake. This was, let's see, copyright 1980, American Greetings Corporation strawberry shortcake. Yeah, so 1980, it's a vintage 1980 strawberry shortcake fabric that I have had for probably about 14 years. And I wasn't sure what to do with it because it's so cute. But at the same time, like, I don't know, maybe I was treating it a little precious. Like I didn't want to do the wrong thing with it. But a few years ago, my mom brought me this book. I poured over this book growing up. Like, oh my gosh, it's falling apart. Because I absolutely loved this book growing up, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. I'm sure my siblings did too, but I thankfully, when she brought it, I was so excited. And then I saw this fabric that I have, and I was like, I need to make a strawberry shortcake quilt. So I jumped on Etsy to see if there was any other like vintage fabric from like this collection. And they had the cutest little Huckleberry Pie. So that little guy there, that's Huckleberry Pie, yum. And they had the cutest one that matched with Huckleberry Pie. So I did buy that because there were only 2 listings and I was like, I don't want to lose it. So I did buy that. It's only a half a yard. This one I actually have almost 2 yards. I think it's like 1 3/4 yards. So almost 2 yards of this. And I pulled out a few of my like extra fabrics from other quilts. And then this one. And I'm gonna get my Huckleberry Pie quilt fabric. And I'm gonna get like, my plan is to get some more pinks and blues and do a really cute strawberry shortcake summery quilt with this one. So that will be the next thing that I do. But that is all my stuff. I feel like it's just piled across me now, but that is all my stuff. So thanks for watching. I think my plan is probably just to do this once a month because like I said, I'm kind of a monogamous knitter as well as quilter. So I try to only have 1 or 2 things going at a time. And if I update more than once a month, it might get really boring for you because there's not going to be much to see. So if you enjoyed this subscribe so that you do see next time I post. And if there's any lighting or sound problems, I will try to work on those, or editing problems. We'll see. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. Coming along on my little diary entry, and come back if you want to see how these things have gone next month. So thanks for coming. Bye.